But the idea, of course, is that your first game should be complete enough that it stands on its own.
Mm-hmm. Which we've run into many developers where their first game does not stand on its own, and they put supposedly everything into it.
Yeah, and that is a major point. That for a lot of developers who treat their first game, you have to be able to do everything to justify that first game. If your first game is horrible, a sequel may help, but you're kind of starting on rocky footing just from the get-go.
And if your first game isn't successful, then depending on how hard it failed and how hard you were prepared for failure, because you should absolutely be prepared for failure for your first game, but maybe not the first game of a series if it's not your first game. You're not first commercial game. This is your third commercial game, but it's the first game of a series. You should not be planning for failure at that point, but you should be definitely planning for failure on your first commercial game. But the fact is that it's very hard for first-time developers to get enough in their game. It's hard to see the writing on the wall. Like, I think I did a fairly good job with my first game, but I look at it in hindsight and it's like, I did not do enough. I did maybe nearly enough, but not enough. That's not even talking about the art side. That's just talking about gameplay mechanics and whatnot. And I think I should have gone a little bit farther. But back then, I didn't know where to go. Hindsight has given me that vision to know where to go.
And for a lot of developers, they may get stuck into this cycle of, I'm just going to keep developing sequels to my one idea, and I'm going to build this mega franchise out of it. But the problem is, if people didn't enjoy game number 1, why do you think they're going to enjoy game number 5 or 6? And sequels, for the sake of sequels, often don't end up well.
What you need to do is you need to be sure that that first game, if you're planning a sequel, number one, it's not your first commercial game. Number two is that you're making sure there's enough content in that first one. And number three is that when you make that sequel, there's enough new in there to keep people engaged and a reason to actually play the next one. And that the first one is successful. Thank you everybody for watching. Click here to see the whole video. Click here to sub to the channel. And I hope to see you on my Discord where we'll be playing the Continue this Saturday.